Hey guys, it's time for my January book haul. As you can see from this stack of books I neatly placed around here, this one was quite a good month actually. I have also decided to split up the books I have bought just because it's a bit more easy for you guys. If you find something that you are not interested in, you can just skip that part of the video and just continue on. Of course, a large part of it is fantasy, but there are also some others. I have some sci-fi, I have some music books, I have some collection tales. There are 3 different collections of different writers, all of them short stories. Actually 4, but one of them is in the sci-fi category. So let's get to it. First up is a Belgian book, actually. This one is a Belgian classic. It's called ExDrummond, Former Drummer, by Herman Brosselmans. It's a short book, I think it's not even 100. Yeah, it's 120-ish pages. It's the part of a trilogy, actually. The first one was Ex-Writer and Ex-Lover. According to this blurb at the back, it's just 3 irreparable losers try to engage a writer for their rock band. I think it's slightly autobiographic, but not really. I think he wants to make it look like it's a small autobiography. Haven't read it yet, but I am very excited because Herman Brosselmans is a writer that is an icon in Belgium due to his direct, crude, and even sometimes offensive style, especially when he's on TV. He also gives very detailed descriptions of some sex and or drugs scene. So that's also something that this book is not really rated, but I think it would be at least rated and for mature. Maybe 16 plus even in America and actually in Europe as well, but we don't actually rate books here. Next up is the sci-fi part of this book haul. It's not that big. Actually, it's only 2 books. This is Stevenson's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, also accompanied by some different stories. I think there are 4 or 5 short stories in it, but Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is his most well known, so of course they will use it for the cover. You will probably know what this is about. It's about a scientist wanting to split his good and bad sides, and he makes a potion to split his good and bad sides, but he actually cannot control his evil side, and the road to going back to the good part of his life is very hard and way longer than he has anticipated. The next book is actually Arthur C. Clarke's And the Garden of Rama. This is the 3rd book, I think. Yes, the 3rd book in the Rama cycle. This was a book that was in a box along with some others. I have not read his first, I think his Rendezvous with Rama. I haven't read it yet. I am planning to because as I have heard, this one actually is not that great. But Rendezvous with Rama is actually a big sci-fi. I'm not going to say icon, but at least something that you should read if you are a fan of the series or of the genre in general. I like sci-fi. I'm not going to say I love it because I like fantasy way more than I like sci-fi, but I will probably get it if I stumble across it. I won't actively search for it at the moment. Maybe if you guys tell me that it's extremely good or give me a few reasons, I'll go for it. Who knows? That was sci-fi. Of course, what you're all here for, probably, is the fantasy part. And this is going to be a long one. Let's start with Firebrand by Marion Zimmer Bradley. This is a retelling of Troy from the viewpoint of Cassandra. She has also written The Mists of Avalon, which is a retelling of the Arthurian legends. I am very, very curious to read this because I have also not yet read Troy by Stephen Fry. I think I will read those back to back just to see the difference of it, and I will probably make a video out of it now that I think of it. Yeah, that was a good idea. if I do say so myself. Next up is something that was very prominently promoted last year by a lot of booktubers. It's The House Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This one is about a lighthouse protector, I think. No, it's not about a lighthouse protector. Yeah, it's about an older man. He's 40 years old, and he's at the Department of a Charge of Magical Youth. He spent his days monitoring orphanages, but one day he gets called out by upper management to, and I quote, travel to an orphanage where 6 dangerous children reside, including the Antichrist. Apparently, there is also, this LGBT plus, so this gay, because they're 2 men, relationship in it. So I'm very curious. I have read same-sex relationships before, but I do not think that I have ever read a well thought out one. And considering this was very well praised, I am looking forward to this, because to be honest, I read Kings of the Wild, and the wizard in there was also homosexual, but he was, on the one hand, he was badass, but on the other hand, there were some parts of homosexuality that were very stereotyped, including that AIDS-like disease that was mentioned, and it didn't strike me as something that was, I'm not going to say politically correct, but I'm going to say, I think it struck a nerve somewhere. I think that's the best word, or that's the best expression to use. But anyway, on to the next one, because we still have a lot to go. Next one is Master of Jinn, with D-J-I-N-N, not G-I-N, but that would be a great book, by the way, by P. Jelly Clarke. This one is with a strong female character about Cairo in 1912. So this is also something that will probably be on a lot of bingos, considering it's Arabian. Oh, I forgot some sci-fi. I actually forgot some sci-fi. I have the Forever Hero trilogy right here. This is about Earth that has been abandoned for, I think it was 100 years. Oh no, it's thousands of years apparently. Earth has been abandoned for thousands of years, and there's only one ship that has ever returned, and you know, that's the ship we follow, of course. They get back to Earth, where they find some survivors after the apocalypse, but not really humans. Most of them are mutated, but there is this one inhabitant. He's a young boy with a lot of native intelligence, and the books are Dawn for a Distant Earth, The Silent Warrior, and In Endless Twilight, that together comprise the Forever Hero trilogy by Modestet Jr. This one spoke to me. Well, one, it's Tor, so I think Tor fantasy and sci-fi rarely brings out a bad book. The ones they usually choose to publish, in my experience, have been good, or at least good enough, which is not really a compliment, but you know, there's a lot of clutter in fantasy. But this boy is determined, this highly intelligent boy is determined to actually make Earth great again, to use a common expression the last 6 years. He actually tries to actively climb up the ranks, the political ranks, and stimulate the empire to just pour and dump all of their resources into making Earth a hospitable world again. So that's something that I will read this year, hopefully. I don't know, I might go on a small holiday in March, because I have 10 days of vacation, so I might take this one depending on where I am and what I am doing at that time. There's a lot of other books I have to read, and I'll take just these 3. I'll take all these at once, because this is book 2, 3, and the prequel of Garth Nix's Old Kingdom series. I do already have Sabriel, And I stumbled across these actually at a second-hand store, but I don't think they're second-hand. Well, they are second-hand, but I think they have never even been touched because, you know, just look at how pristine these books still are. Right here, and even the cover on the side, I can't see a crinkle, I can't see anything. Ow. Yeah, I hurt my thumb a few days ago. But yeah, I have not read Cerulean, but I have bought the book already a few months back. On recommendation of an old friend of mine who I had not seen in a long time, and we kind of got talking at a concert. Well, not really a concert, but a small show when they were allowed last summer. So yeah, this trilogy plus the prequel, let's say, is something that I look forward to. I have never read anything by Garth Nix, so I am very, very curious. If I like it, I will of course recommend it to everyone. If I don't like it, I think I probably will not sell it. I will keep it just because I am trying to get my girlfriend reading fantasy. She's a psychologist and I have convinced her to try Piranesi. So she will be starting on that somewhere this week after she had read her book. But something I also stumbled upon while buying those books is this. A Wizard of Earthsea, or just Earthsea. The first 4 books bundled in 2 small books by Ursula Le Guin, of course. These books are, what, like 50 years old, I think, but they were pivotal in fantasy. According to a lot of, I'm not going to say peers, because I don't really feel like I am at level of some of those guys, but by some friends in the Discord who have read a lot of fantasy, way more than I have ever read, mostly because they are older as well, and some of them work from home, which is also a big plus, because if you have a break, for example, you can read an hour, or while working you can listen to audiobooks, which is something that I am not capable of. Like, I mean, I can, but while I'm working I have a lot of contact with people, so I can't be running around with earbuds in my ear. But yeah, these are translated actually in Dutch, as most of these books are, I think. Even Garth Nix's books are translated. The Forever Heroes trilogy is in English, so yeah, that's something. And the books with, of course, the English titles are also in English, but you can see here they're not really translated exactly. Only Tihanu and the Tombs of Atuan are translated in the exact same way, but Machten van Aardsea, which is the first book, A Wizard of Earthsea, this translates as Powers of Earthsea, and this one, I think it's The Farthest Shore, the third book, and this one, Koning van Aardsea, is translated as King of Earthsea. So this might be a spoiler. I don't know. If it is, I will be mad. But yeah, this one I got for very cheap as well, so I am very excited to read these. Somewhere, maybe next month, maybe this month, because it's already February. I'll check. I don't know. It depends on what I feel like. I'll finish Wax and Wayne and The Secret History first. But next up is The Trollin by Christoph Hardebusch. It's probably something, a German person, Hardebusch. This one is also a second-hand book. The Trollin means the trolls, as you will probably have guessed. This is an old fantasy book giving insight in troll culture. Actually, I think, yeah, the dwarves in this book, which are normally, you know, the good guys in Lord of the Rings, in Marcus Heights, the dwarves, in Bernard Tennant's the elves as well. But here the warlike dwarves actually work together with dark forces, depending on the perspective, of course, because I haven't read it yet. It might be that they are good forces, but to rule the world. Yeah, I think it's probably will be dark forces, but neither humans nor elves actually accept the danger that the dwarves are posing. So it's time for the trolls to actually decimate the dwarves? I don't know. They will fight this evil, but while humans just go ahead on their daily schedule, the trolls are fighting a hopeless battle deep underground. Some of them will be going on a quest to find the source of evil, but only if humans and trolls become brothers in battle, the world can be saved. This one was written a long time ago. I think it's about 20 years old, so of course long is relative, but it has a beautiful map at the beginning. I'm just trying to find the exact year, but it's not actually mentioned because the story really immediately begins after the Dramatis Personae. Maybe it's at the back? Yeah, no. I have checked in the meantime, and this book was actually written in 2009, which is later than I had expected, because I vividly remember seeing it as when I was a kid, but on the other hand, because I had to look up, but on the other hand, I didn't have my growth spurt until I was like 16 or 17, so I might have misjudged the timing. But on to the next one. This is a collection, actually, because this one was the last of the fantasy books. And now I will be beginning my collections that I have found, which are actually multiple books. I have found, to start, this one. Maybe you recognize this knight, maybe you don't, but it is Don Quixote, or Don Quixote. I think it's Don Quixote, if it's actually pronounced in Spanish, by Cervantes. But this is not only him, it's the Tales of Cervantes. You know, it's Vertellingen, but it's been translated as Tales of Cervantes. I didn't really buy this book because I wanted to read it. I will read it probably, but I think it's more of a cornerstone of literary education, to put it in a pompous way. But yeah, this is something I would really love to read, just you know, to have a better vision of literature. Next up is a collection of Sherlock Holmes, of course by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. These are the long stories. I think it's 4 or 5 stories, including The Hound of the Baskervilles, including Scarlet Rose, I think the story is called. No, it's A Study in Scarlet. Yeah, that's one. It's A Study in Scarlet, but there's part 1, part 2, The Valley of Fear, The Sign of 4, and that's it. So yeah, there are 4 short stories. And yeah, I also love this lettering. The cover is just plain, nothing really special, but I love this lettering as well. Not only because it's gold, but I love the font. This one is different from the book I already have, the red and gold one, because those are the short stories and this is the long stories. Except for The Hound of the Baskervilles, which is probably the same story in both books. I don't know. I will probably make a comparison. I will probably do that later. But anyway, another collection by the Brothers Grimm. These are all the fairy tales, probably not all of them, but I have bought this book because, you know, I have a godchild and my girlfriend has another godchild, and so if they have a small sleepover, I will always have a story to tell them. The illustrations are also amazing. I think there are about 20 stories, and each story has, every page has its own illustration in this painting-like style, which really speaks to me. It's something that I really enjoy seeing, and I hope that children will enjoy seeing that as well. And last but not least, the different collection. It's a part of another collection of which I already own some books, but these are, as you can see, Thomas Keneally's Schindler's List. Well, then there's Crichton's Jurassic Park, yes, I think. Oh no, this one's Jurassic Park actually. That's Crichton's Jurassic Park. And of course, this one is Pieter Daans. Pieter Daans was a priest in Belgium right around the Industrial Revolution age. He was a human rights activist as well, actively battling the hunger, which was around a lot, and the big poverty crisis in Belgium at that time. I think he once actually screamed, well, in the movie he did, but I think that was based on, that scene was actually based on something that really happened, because he screamed at the local mayor then, or even at the government, I don't remember. It's been 10 years since I saw that movie, even longer. I am hungry. It's all I can hear. So yeah, next to that, he was of course a priest and a Belgian icon. So I think it's necessary to read it. Not really, but I think it's a good addition to a literary education, as I have already mentioned for Cervantes. And of course, Jurassic Park and Schindler's List, both are classics. These books used to have dust covers, but considering I have found them at a second-hand store, they were all ripped or crinkled or crumpled, and I prefer the elegance of this baby blue hardcover than this ugly colored ripped dust cover. I enjoy this because I have about 12 of these, all in the same cover, with the same font as well. These are actually big boys as well, even if you don't think they will, because the paper is very thin. This small book here, right here, is 360 pages. So yeah, the paper is really thin, which will probably be a reason to be careful with these books, even next to the hardcover. But those were my collections. And last but not least, we have my books about music that I bought. And I'll start with Rock Detectors, unofficial publication of Ozzy Osbourne's story. This is not his life story. This is not his complete musical journey as well. This is the story of him leaving Black Sabbath right around 79, I think. Somewhere around that. Until 1978, it's mentioned at the cover. He was the singer of course, Black Sabbath, and then he left Black Sabbath to be replaced by Ronnie James Dio to form his own band, and he hired this great guitarist called Randy Rhoads. He was in Quiet Riot, and of course he has passed away already, which is a big shame. I think he passed away in 1981 or 82. He was only 25, but he was an amazing guitarist. And this is something that he never really got over, even today. I think last year or 2 years ago, there was a video of Ozzy hearing something that was recorded but never released, and it was unedited. It was just a raw guitar recording, and he had to fight back the tears. Which brings me to the end of this book, actually, because it ends after the No More Tears tour, which is somewhere in, I think it was 98, 99, something like that. This was a great story. I loved some of the detailed work they put in here. Is everything true? I doubt it, because it's an unofficial publication, and Ozzy did not work with these guys for that. So they probably got most of it right, but there will also be some things that are either exaggerated or are even worse in real life than they are in a book. So I'll check. This was actually a library book. You can see here. It's very small, but it's called Bibliotheek Gent. So yeah, Bibliotheek is a library, of course. Gent is a university city here in Belgium. But yeah, I bought this one as well. Next to these two big boys, which are both actually histories of heavy metal. This one here is the music series. This one here is the history of heavy metal, but translated. They both give a short history about heavy metal, but I prefer this one actually. This one is written better, I think. But this one is more extensive because it even goes on to today and the modern genre of metal. If I had to pick something, I would choose this one for people who are trying to get into metal, or for parents that are trying to get their children into metal, because it has very extensive research. They cover a lot of different genres. They cover history. They have some crash courses on some shorter stuff. I think punk is even involved in it. So yeah, this one was great actually. I really, really love this book. Alas, it's also the last one. So I will have to leave you guys. Question of the day. which of these books do you recommend to me the most? Because after I have read Wax and Wayne 3, yes, I'm already at the third one, and Secret History, I will be starting something new, of course. I am not going to go back to Wheel of Time at the moment. I will return to Lord of Chaos somewhere down the line, because I really want to finish that series. But yeah, I'm wondering, are there any favorites of yours in there, or are there any smaller books which you really recommend to me? I'll keep, of course, an eye on the comments. I'll keep an eye on the likes as well for those comments. Just comment down below and I will probably read the one that's the most liked. I think that's a good compromise. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, you know the drill. And have a nice day. See you next time.